What is going on, guys? Today we are back with another ranking of all attackers, and today we have got plenty of new players in here as we have got the primes back in. Also, we do have some winter wildcards, as you can see from Pato right there. We've got a lot to go through today, and we're going to be seeing who is the most meta players in the game and who is that you want, and maybe some cheap little options as well. We're going to start off with some of the big ones, as we always do. There is plenty of these top tier players, especially with the primes being added. The first one, always got to pay the respects to R9. He again is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal in this game. He's coming in, I think, at about 10.5 mil. He's actually coming in at 11 mil now, so he is actually going up in price, which we just don't see. We've got his World Cup card as well, which is very, very similar. That's coming in at 6.5 mil if you wanted the little bit of a cheaper option and have a dynamic. If then we look through again, there is, like I say, a lot of top end cards. We'll put a few here and we'll go through them. Obviously, Eusebio's got himself a World Cup card as well. We obviously have an Mbappe somewhere, wherever he's gone. The team of the tournament left wing. Unfortunately, can't be striker in this one. But with the amount of strikers we do have, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. He can be a cam, which is always fantastic as well. Messi, always S tier, just seems to get better every special. There is a team in a tournament, but I thought I won't add it because we don't actually have the dynamic that I can get at the moment. Cruyff obviously up there as well. If we look a bit further down, I know there is a Pele and obviously Ronaldinho. We'll add the rest in and we'll get back to it. If you're looking for coaching service, foot champs, rivals, or just looking for generic coins, 100k, 500k, a mil, I recommend using Sky Coach at skycoach.gg. Link will be in the description, and make sure on your checkout to use the code JT11 for a discount on your order. So we've added in quite a lot of them. As we can see, Cantona, no explanation needed, same as Eusebio. Pele getting his 98 again. Hopefully we do get a campaign or a moments or whatever the new icons are going to be to get that card back to a 99. That would be incredible once more, as well as some dynamics. I think that was always the best thing with moments, is actually having dynamic icons as well. We've got a few with the World Cups, but nothing obviously after the prime. Ronaldinho, Cruyff, Puskás, Muller, all very, very solid options in them primes. We also have done a ranking tier list for them yesterday, so if you want to check them out at the end of the video. We've obviously got Mbappe, Messi, Neymar, and Vinny all in here. Very, very top end cards that you must try and get in the game. They are absolutely ballers. If then we go as of normal, a BD Pele, Al Warren. I think Al Warren is probably a self-explanatory one. He is just a naturally very, very good player on this game. The only hero I think that is definitely jumped up like 700k since his release. He dropped down to about 450, and then I don't know if he's gone down since, but he was about 700 last time I checked. He's coming in, I think he might have actually dropped a little bit. If we go a bit further down, he is coming in at a whopping 593. So he's actually gone down about 100k. Obviously, with primes, with new players, he will naturally lose value over time. Abide Pele, definitely coming in that AS. I think he's still a nice card, but definitely could do with an upgrade right now. And Pato was one of them ones I thought, you know what, he's not necessarily in the likes of the Mbappe level, or obviously some of the top end cards we've got here, but most definitely for, I think, about 13 to 20k, you can get him up. That's not a bad card. MLS, so nice little special there. We obviously already have a Higuain who is absolutely cracked as well. We have the Bale that's staring at me also to tell me to mention him. But Pato, a 5-star, 4-star, always good when we get a nice version of him in the game. A very nostalgic card if you have played the game for a very long time. I think in terms of the value of him, he's definitely coming in the B category. If I'm going to look at the strikers that realistically are in this attacking tier list, he's not going to come close to a lot of them, but price and efficiency, not a bad card worth a mention. Ansu Fati, I'd probably give him an A right now just because of the level of players we've got. Anthony, hopefully we get back to business with obviously the big win against Nottingham Forest last week as the 3-0. Hopefully we do see Anthony come back alive and really set the tone again to maybe get himself an inform or something like that. He's going to sit himself next to the A, could potentially bring that up. If he doesn't necessarily get an inform in the next few weeks, he might start to trickle down a little bit more, as like I say, we're getting more and more top end wingers. We then have Asensio and Aubameyang. Aubameyang is This card, I think, personally was overlooked massively from when he first came out because Aubameyang's always been a really nice gold card to start with. Quick, tall, normally has a little bit of physicality, nothing too crazy, and can dribble relatively okay. A 91, probably, a month into the game. Really, really top-end card. Obviously, his price was reflected, a little bit higher than probably what you'd want to pay for him, but definitely a solid card coming in. Then we have Asensio Bale. Asensio, for me, is a nice card, but probably now in terms of a striker coming down the tiers as we find more and more strikers that just have a little bit more to offer. In the wing options, definitely still a good card to have. Great pace, good shooting, dribbling's nice, but again, we're getting more and more top end stats. Bale being one of them, definitely going into that AS. It does feel like an older sort of Bale card. Very, very good at striking, and I do like him as more of the right wing than necessarily a striker, which is what we've normally seen with a kind of Bale promo card. He's normally been put from the right wing to a striker and given a 94-95 card, whereas I think the winger works really, really well. High-end dribbling, great passing, shooting and pace, good physicality, can cut in on that left. A solid MLS card if we are looking at either a themed sort of squad build or obviously any objectives involving Wales or MLS. Then we get into some of the icons. John Barnes, again, not a bad card. I think in terms of stats, good pace, dribbling, shooting, physicality's up there. He is more of a cam in my eyes, but in terms of a left wing, as obviously this is where he would be kind of put in base stats, I personally would give him an A. Probably not much more than that, and he probably will drop down heavily. Bergkamp, unfortunately, he just doesn't have it, and I think it's such a shame for a card like this because he is a fantastic player, but I just don't know what it is that personally, in my opinion, I very rarely can ever use him. I do like his moments, but most definitely was still not necessarily going to overtake anybody else unless I got him very, very first day of obviously moments being out. I would then maybe use him for a little bit, but more than likely, especially at that point of the game, we have people that can take over that position. Then we've got the Georgie Best. He has no problems going into that S. Very, very much like the Garincha of the game. Very quick, great shooting, dribbling's incredible, and he's got a good pass on him as well. Definitely a S tier. Brolin and Butra. We've got two strikers now. Brolin, not bad. Definitely when he first came out was quite a nice striker. Didn't rate his hero much because obviously we had that lengthy meta that was absolutely a massive thing, and I just personally couldn't get on with it. But now we've got the World Cup icon, World Cup hero. Again, not a bad card. Would probably sit him in the AS still. And I think same for Butra. Butra, I think I always have this battle with him because I do think, and I do like these strikers that are very much pick up and play, as I call them. Basically, anybody can pick him up and can use him at his max potential. We see it with R9, we see it with Pele, we see it with Eusebio, Puskás. Whereas when we look at somebody, for instance, like a Diego Forlan, he's a different sort of striker. Yes, he can still run through, and he has made me lose my hair far too much in games where he's just absolutely destroyed me on pace. But with Butra, naturally, everybody can use him. There's no wrong way of using him. You may not want to use him as a hold-up striker, but I think that requires a different level of play. Somebody who's just going through balls, getting it to feet, passing it on and move. That works in every single game mode for Butra, and I think I'm going to upgrade into that S. Joe Cole, the left mid that can obviously be played as wingers and obviously going forward. I don't really see him as much. Last year I loved his normal hero version. This year I very rarely see him. Normally we saw Cole in the Prem sort of objectives if we need that. We don't tend to see his hero a lot more. The World Cup, not really seen him a heavily amount really. If I'm going just based on pace, dribbling and shooting, as well as a bit of passing, I think the A is probably justified. And that brings us to a cracking card. Obviously the winners of the World Cup, Correa has got a monster card upgrade. 289, great pace, great dribbling, shooting, physical, passing, and naturally very, very good striker in the game already. Smaller, bit of nimble on his feet. I would probably prefer him more as a winger, if anything, but I definitely think he can get you some goals in this striking role. And out of respect, he's going into that S for now. I think he will drop with, like I say, the cards that are coming out. He's not going to compare to an R9. Not that many people will, but again, he wouldn't even compare to a gold Mbappe at a level. I think Mbappe is just naturally gifted in this game. He is just incredible, even at the gold version. When you're looking at a Correa, the only thing that I think that I personally rate about him is that the SBC was relatively cheap and you got the upgrade for him. If you didn't get the upgrade, would be a nice card, but with that 89, definitely sensational. Some more icons coming up with Crespo, Dalglish, and big old Del P. Dalglish, absolutely incredible, very much like Butra in my opinion. Pick up and play, very quick, cracking shooting. I think we did his mid, in fact. I don't think we've done his prime yet, but his mid was absolutely brilliant, and obviously his prime more than likely will be absolutely incredible as well. Crespo, solid striker, not seen too much, would probably sit in that A for me, and Del P has definitely got to go in that AS. I think the only version of Del P that probably goes S for me is the base at the very start of the game, and then we start to get the specials, and it just rolls out that unfortunately he starts to come down the list. And that brings us to Alfonso. Still rate this card, love the sort of outer positions, because I suppose he is almost like a left wing back. If anything, he's up and down, but obviously for Canada he was very much more on that attacking presence and is a solid card that you can get. We're going to go with 3 new cards in this tier list now. We've got Dembele Winter Wildcard, Team of the Tournament Di Maria with a beautiful dynamic. Absolutely rate that they gave them all the trophy dynamics. I think it's a class touch from EA. Finally something that actually looks really nice. I know in the France World Cup, whenever that was it FIFA 18 or one, to say we got like a special team of the French players, but with obviously all of the special cards we get now, it's probably a little bit harder to do a whole Argentinian special team. So it is nice that they've obviously given them a lot of dynamics even in previous versions and cards that are not team of the tournament. But in terms of these 3, Di Maria was a very cheap SBC, and definitely in terms of price, definitely goes in that S. If we look at a Dembele, 5-star, still absolutely cracking. And I'd say Felix has had a lovely upgrade. Obviously not done too much really with Atletico Madrid compared to what the projection of what Felix could have done, and unfortunately hasn't quite hit that yet, but we've still got a lot of time with him, still very young. I'm going to put him in that AS for now and see if he can grow. Cannot wait for a Di Natale new hero version, whatever it is, shapeshifter, foot captains, anything that we're going to get that's new for them, because I am ready for this upgraded. Very much like in a BD Pele, he is still absolutely cracking up front, but I definitely want a new version of him now. We've liked the World Cup the heroes, I keep calling them icons, but it is nice now to see potentially another heroes. Maybe we see that in the next promo, or if obviously after Team of the Year, because I don't think we'll get anything for that. And then Diego Forlan, honestly, I don't know what it is with this card. He's just an absolute monster. Going against him is an absolute headache. Again, I don't really see him, and then all of a sudden everybody has him, and everybody scores nonetheless with him. I don't know what you have to do to get rid of him, but unfortunately, he is incredible. And then we might as well finish off with this hero as well. Ginola is unreal. As we know with Ginola, striker, left wing, left mid, wherever you want to put him, he is phenomenal. And hopefully this year we still get the shapeshifter striker version, as that card was almost the rival to R9, which is absolutely crazy to say, but again, a solid card. We then have a few more icons. Garincha's quite an easy one, to be honest. He is going to go there, as well as his counterpart in Georgie Best. We also have, in fact, while we're here, Jarzinho. One card that I haven't actually used yet. I really want to get on this card because his base and his mid was absolutely phenomenal. These 3 together look like an incredible right-wing pairing. The best thing as well, if you was to go, say, 3 at the back, not necessarily conventional formation, Georgie Best can go left wing. Unfortunately, Jarzinho and Garincha can only be right wing and right mid, but it does mean you can have both if you wanted to change in game. Maybe you had a left mid that can play left back, or you just have a kind of a centre backs and they can play left back, right backs as well. But definitely a nice attacking trio if you wanted to get all of them in, and I think that is perfectly where alternative positions do really well. Then we have Drogba and Eto'o, 2 big units in these icons. Eto'o, since he came into the game, honestly looked incredible every version. Eto'o is very nostalgic for myself as well, seen a lot of his career, and that's kind of where I like some of these icons now, because Dalglish, I never personally saw him play. Georgie Best, very snippets, but again, not really. Garincha, Jarzinho, Butra, again, not really. Whereas Eto'o, Drogba, we then look at somebody like a Bergkamp, caught the end of him. Lineker, never really saw. But now we get into the Owens, the Raúls, the Shearers, obviously the Rooney's. They are some of the players that personally I now have a massive nostalgic value with and have seen their gold cards in the game as well. Drogba, we've spent many a time trying to get special cards of him. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the absolute OP lengthy meta that we had at the start of the game. That card from his base was a joke. Him and Haaland up front was just ruining teams. Now it's a little bit less, but nonetheless, he is still absolutely beast mode when it comes to going up front. Giroud now, funnily enough, I've seen quite a few Girouds in people's teams, and he's actually not terrible in the game. Now we've got a very much slowed down version compared to your FIFA 16, 17, 18s, where it was pace, pace, pace. Now we've got this kind of passing meta to some extent. Doesn't necessarily work all the time, and you definitely still need faster players, but most definitely players now have learned how to slow the game down. Giroud's obviously got an unreal shooting ability, as well as a little bit more of the pace with the upgrade from the stories, so it's interesting to see where this card can lie. I don't personally think I would rate him much more than kind of some of these A tiers and AS tiers, but I have seen him a few times, which is just a nice little mention because I didn't think I would see him. Govou kind of gone into the wind a little bit. Still reckon he's a fantastic striker nonetheless. He is obviously a cam that can go into the striking role with this card, and his hero normally is a striker, but again, a very, very good French cam slash striker. And as we say that, Griezmann pops up with an absolute beautiful path to glory all the way to the final. Unfortunately, didn't get the final version upgrade, but most definitely a solid card to get him back to his standard. And as we talk about getting back to his standard, Haaland is up next, and honestly, this guy is just a monster. Honestly, he will be 99 before too long. I guarantee this year he will get a 99 card. He is just absolutely stupid. I think this card for me is... I don't even know if this card is fully upgraded, you know. I want to say that he is definitely up there. He is 90 still. Okay, I thought he had a bigger upgrade than that. I thought he was at least 91, 92. I know we've took 2 months off, so we haven't had any versions of players outside of the World Cup, which is a bit of a shame. Now we can get back to business with it. Haaland himself is still coming in as an absolute rock. 1.2 million after I believe he scored 1 yesterday, I want to say. He may have scored 2, but I know I saw 1 at least. Again, just going to go through the game like force. Henry this year is going to go up there next to him. Again, no need to mention him really. He is definitely way, way better this year than he has done in previous. Hernandez and Higuain up next. Higuain, a great SBC from back when. Probably going to filter out a little bit more now as we kind of go into the new cards, and really... I've not seen him much. You'll see him in the MLS kind of objectives, but that's probably about it now. Still a definitely good striker if you wanted, but he's most definitely not reaching the main level team with the amount of strikers that we've got. Untradeable or not untradeable, I guarantee you've got 1 or 2 strikers that are better than this card. Same with Hernandez. Again, not bad. I feel like he is better than his counterpart Hugo Sanchez, but I don't think necessarily he's coming in at a great value for an icon. Keenan Kuhl. We've got 288s, 1 SBC, one SBC and 1 actual purchase card. I can't remember how much Harry Kewell is coming in at. He is a whopping 236. Really, really liked his first hero. Definitely was nice on that left wing. Now we've got him kind of going more central. Very much like Robbie Keane. The stats are top. You've got great passing, shooting, pace, dribbling. You've got a very, very good base around this hero. And I think both of them are just deserved for this AS. The only thing I'd say personally about Keane is he was a little bit expensive for the time. But I suppose in terms of the hero, he will last you a long time in this game. And he probably won't be really matched until Team of the Year as an SBC striker if you wanted to complete it. A quite easy kind of set of icons here. Closer, Kluivert, Larson. Larson will go 1 up, but personally, not the greatest icons. If we're looking for a few more, Rush, again, never really got on with him. I think Raúl's very much like Larson as well. It's got a little bit about him, but not enough. Same as Van Basten. Shevchenko, I actually preferred his World Cup icon. Shearer, in the mud, and Vieri definitely in the mud. I don't know if there's anybody else. Suker was not bad. I definitely wouldn't go much more than a B, but not bad as a striker. Same with Righty Boy. Honestly, can't argue with him sometimes, but not going to give me the output that I'm really wanting. And I think in terms of icons, I would probably say Lineker's up there as well. I think I do prefer his World Cup icon. And as we go through some of these icons, I will replace them with their better version. It was just getting all the new cards into the attacking tier list so you can see a brief overview. Lawan, 92 rated. Most definitely not a bad one to watch, but unfortunately the pace will always determine what this card's like. And normally we get a out of performance promo for him, which gives him a little bit more pace. It tends to be team of the season, to be honest, so we can't argue there. But I do think this guy now needs that little bit extra bit of a pace boost. I do think he's still got a bit about him, but in terms of these icons, I'd probably say he's at the same sort of value of what you'd get back from this card. We then have Lacazette and Nunez. We've got Lacazette as the winter wild card. Nunez now hitting a little bit of form. Is definitely taking his time to kind of prove himself in this Prem, but the problem I think with him is he's always going to be linked to a Haaland start. Haaland is in a team that is absolutely on top of the form of their life and has been for the amount of X amount of years, but unfortunately Nunez, the one thing that I'm liking, and I've definitely seen in podcasts, is he's getting the chances. Doesn't necessarily mean he's scoring every single one, but I would much rather have somebody who is getting the chances and maybe not necessarily delivering every single time. He might be missing, say, 50%, because we can work on that. In terms of not having the chances at all, I still think that Nunez can get some upgrades, and hopefully, and slightly hopefully not, does get the upgrades as well. I do think he's a nice card and definitely still has that ability in the game. He was kind of a bit nostalgic from the start of the game, where his gold card was absolutely fire for about 2k. Lacazette, a nice card, out of performance promo that you can get. 89 rated, good pace, good shooting, passing obviously a little bit better, dribbling looking pretty good, and a bit of physicality. I'd say he's definitely coming in quite nice. The only thing that would raise it for me is if he is a 5-star, 4-star. I'm going to go one up more. I think that is a very, very solid card that you can get. I do think the 5-4 is definitely one thing that you want. And if you do whack a finisher on him, he's a 93 rated striker in game. 91 pace, 94 shooting, and 94 dribbling. I'll take me a bit of that. Then we come down to some very iconic players in the game already. We've got a CR7 rule breaker. Obviously, his flashback is coming in top end, but I'd probably put him more in the midfielders to start with. Probably should have put him in the attackers. I do think CR7, this version, not quite as good. I would say his flashback is in that S category. Again, something I'll learn for next time is to make sure that I've got a Ronaldo in there. We've had a look at all the new players, and he was just under everything. Morientes, Okocha. Morientes, again, very similar to what Forlan's like, but a little bit less pace. He's just a danger around the goal. Honestly, I don't know what it is, because the card, in general, if we look at all of these strikers that we've got, that card looks average. Like, you cannot tell me that great shooting, 86 pace is nice, but look at the paces of all of these C tiers. We've then got a bit of dribbling, again, very similar. Passing, obviously non-existent, great physical, but he plays in game like an absolute monster. Honestly, I'm not going to go too crazy with him, but I do think that A is a very good respected move for him, to say that the card definitely doesn't have the stats that screams this is the striker you want in your team. Then we look at Okocha. He goes straight into that AS, a very, very top-end cam. Unfortunately, a little bit more expensive than what I'd want to pay for him, but still a solid card. And we might as well finish off the two other World Cup heroes. Nearly said it again. Smolarek is just phenomenal. Definitely in that S tier. Again, a card that is just beautiful to play with. We used his normal card for quite a while, and his hero is just way, way better in that World Cup version. Voler as well. Unreal. We again used his hero on the second account. The second account's look for heroes and strikers is unreal. The first account, not as much. But, well, I suppose we get Brolin twice. But in terms of Voler, absolutely stupidly good. Then we move on to the final few. We'll get rid of the icons, and we'll then go towards more of these specials. Trezeguet, again, coming in nice. Was good with the lengthy meta, not as much. Rooney, always in that S. Absolutely love Rooney in this game. The Prime is definitely the best version. Do love his base, because at the start of the game, obviously he is still a little bit above everybody, but I do think he goes a little bit stale as we go into the mid version, as I think, again, there is a lot of strikers around him that are the same sort of level, but we love a Prime Rooney. And then we have Rivaldo. See, the Rivaldo's the hardest one, and I think it's the biggest thing that he needs in a campaign is a weak foot upgrade. I don't know if they can do that, because technically I suppose he didn't have a weak foot, but I would like to see maybe a 4-star weak foot on Rivaldo. That would be absolutely incredible to see. I think it's the only thing of the card that just holds him back sometimes. Owen, I'm going to go A. We then go Figo, 100% AS. A solid cam if you're looking at it. And he still can play right wing if needed. The one thing that I always say with Stoichkov as well is he is so underrated in this game. I've seen him so many times, used him so many times, and he is always so good in this game. Very, very agile on the ball, great pace, solid shooting. He naturally is a phenomenal player that personally I don't see very often, and that is such a shame for the card as he is absolutely brilliant. And one card that I think is not necessarily overhyped because Torres most definitely was a beautiful striker in the game, but I think this year he's definitely coming in better than what he was last year, but I still think the card is unjust deserved. And as we get to the final few, Van Nistelrooy, can't believe I didn't see him. Van Persie's going into that AS with Torres, and then finally Zola. I would say very similar to Del P, but just a little bit under. If we had the category, he would be under Del P in my opinion, but he still holds a very solid amount of stats with his prime version. Now we have the final few. We're going to get rid of a few of the lesser cards. I think it's only Leao that's actually technically new, as I think we missed him out last time. Mane, I would definitely say, is coming in that AS. Then we look at Rashford, gotta be in that S. I cannot wait to see a 90 plus Rashford. That's going to be absolutely beautiful. And then we have Richarlison. A little bit of a gripe with him, and I will put him up still quite high on the list, but we do have a one to watch that is 86. I just think the 88 was just not needed in this card, even though he did technically got such a good goal. I think it was a not team of the tournament. I think it was a goal of the tournament. In fact, I didn't actually see the results of that. Sonny Boy is definitely looking for a new special very, very soon. And then we have Salah, again, needs a new special now. I feel like the outer position was nice, but we could literally ramp it up now. 94, 95. Salah's definitely got to get back to goods. And Ribery, again, both versions, rule breakers or his end of era, I want to say, are definitely coming in that S tier. 5-star, 5-star, can never argue. And Leao, a solid striker, did very, very well in the opening review. If you want to check that out, then obviously go into the channel. If you want to subscribe, you'll see more. But Leao is coming in at that AS. And that is going to be the tier list for today. So let me know down below if you would agree or disagree with any of these. Let's just zoom out so you can see them all at once. In fact, can we? Well, let's zoom out one more time. We'll zoom in as well in a second just so you can actually see them all a little bit closer up. But that is going to be the tier list for today. This is going to be the group as we see them now. Obviously, a lot of top end cards in here, and some that are coming in at an absolutely stupid price, but a few that are coming under a little bit of value. I would say anything from AS to S is definitely where you want to be heading. But in terms of A's as well, there is definitely some solid underpriced players that you can get in this tier list. So let me know down below what you think, and I'll catch you all for the next one. Peace.